All right.
A highway every day, hauling everything from oil and gas to water and sand. The region is one of the most active parts of the Permian Basin oil field, and it's where a lot of Permian drilling activity has been centered in recent years. This far-flung corner of the state has also lately been a hotbed of earthquakes.
900 join?
At the Armadillo Hotel, yummy, in Orla, a dusty lot with rows of trailers where roughnecks sleep between shifts. I mean, I'm digging this novel. If that's the opening sentence, you'll have me to the last page. And Angeles Hutas said she felt last month's earthquake. She worked here for a year, she said, and the quake center just a few miles away was the first one she noticed. I was more shocked. I was like, I didn't know we could get them out here. And then I had my coworkers tell me, oh yeah, you get used to it. By the way, so far, and we'd have to check in, well, we could check in with Portland, but they're gone. Maybe Seattle. No correlation between hydroelectric, nuclear, wind, and solar as far as earthquakes go.
House Republicans were given the majority for a reason. We need to go.
Yes, because they gerrymandered 2 states.
A message to the American people.
Yeah, again, the Freedom Caucus is bigger than these 20 or 10 holdouts that were holding McCarthy's ass to the fire. And they're just from redder districts. They're from safe districts. So of course they huff their own farts.
That we can constrain government, empower them, create wealth and opportunity, and drive our truck right through this and out of this recession. If you stop getting government in the way,
again, how is government in the way? Again, even in oil and gas, there's fucking 9,000 leases out there. Government is not in the way. The desire of the American citizens to drink clean fucking water is in the way. The regulation is there for a fucking reason.
Inflation was caused by government action.
No, it was not.
That's what happened. We saw it.
That's not what happened. Chip Roy is out of his fucking mind, as is Larry Kudlow. Is he nodding?
Billions of the economy.
He's not. He's not even. Again, you can't plug a $20 trillion hole with $6 trillion. Secondly, if it was true what he was saying, the dollar wouldn't be worth shit right now.
Under COVID. First of all, let's learn our lesson about COVID. Don't use emergency powers to destroy the great.
In an emergency. Yeah. What? How dumb? This dumb.
Greatest economy in the history of the world. But we can salvage that by re-empowering the American people and getting government.
It's already been salvaged, dummy. Honestly. Dems anti-growth policies. For fuck's sake, there are more factories coming online this year than in the last 4 fucking decades of the United States.
Out of the way. And absolutely on taxes. Look, last year we brought in how much? $4.x trillion of revenue, the highest in history. Like, we've got revenue. We've got a massive spending problem, and we've got to get our arms around it. And that's what we got a commitment to do. And that's what House conservatives are pushing the entire conference to do. And credit to Kevin.
Oh, you got revenue coming in? So why don't you just kick that back? If it's a spending problem, obviously, you know what'll solve this is a giant tax cut.
We're all working together to try to do that, and I think we're going to take a message to the White House that's very clear.
No, you're not. Kevin McCarthy will have a nervous, weird, stammery, dickhead conversation with Biden while Biden's kind of grinning at him, and after he leaves, he'll say something along the lines of what he said about Peter Doocy.
I mean, you got so much, record revenues, you're absolutely right. It's over $4 trillion.
Oh, yeah. We call that the Biden boom, Larry.
20% of GDP. I think it's a historic record. You got revenues to pay the interest on the bonds. You got revenues to pay social. There's no issue here about default and all that. I would say you want to deal with the recession, make the government.
By the way, the recession that isn't here yet, but is definitely going to happen because Larry thinks it already happened.
Private sector smaller and the private sector larger.
So the government is responsible for making the private sector larger. How do they do that? Do we have regulations? The government now enforcing the creation of companies. Invent America, or we will tax you.
I believe somebody once called that free market capitalism.
No, free market capitalism happens whether the government does anything or fucking not.
Heaven forbid.
Again, heaven forbid. Like, what is Trump like? Ludlow's king. What does Trump make? What's he actually make right now? Besides, like, picture books of photos he stole off Instagram. What does he make? All of his new projects. Somebody else is building them. Somebody else is funding them. He's getting a fee to slap his name on them. What's he selling besides classified documents?
Well, that's exactly right, Larry. And look, I think with the American
I said free market capitalism, because freedom is freedom.
people are going to see through all of this is if you stop spending money that you don't have to fund bureaucrats
Oh, fucking hell, I'm tired of
that
this.
are driving you crazy, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the EPA, whether it's the SEC, whether it's Lena Khan and the FCC, which you were just talking.
Right, okay. He wants to defund the Security and Exchange Commission. That's why Larry Kudlow's having him on. Yeah. So let me give you a quick encapsulated view of what we saw in this video. Was Chip Roy meeting with Larry Kudlow in a little coffee shop they call Fox Business, and he says, we're going to kneecap the economy. It'll definitely have a market effect. We can hold it for 12 days. It's normally 4 or 5, but we can hold it to 12. By the 8th day, you'll see a market dip and a real hit. That's when you buy in, and then as soon as you give us the go-ahead, we'll turn the lights back on. And then, while we're at it, if they figure it out, if they go after us, we'll get our folks that are on committees to talk about defunding the SEC so they can't afford to look. Dude, it's a fucking rig. That's what this is. And they're just, I guess they think people won't notice. Look at Kudlow's next video. America does not have enough prosperity. Well, how would you know? I mean, at what point, how do you know when you have too much prosperity?
Talking about, then you're going to free up the American people to do their job. Give us energy independent.
By the way, apparently freeing up the American people to do their job. Their job is to work your ass off for companies that these guys can exploit on the stock market and manipulate through economic policy to enrich themselves.
Stop regulating to death. Get the tax structure so that we can free people up, but stop deficit spending to fund bureaucracy, and we'll weaponize government, and we'll win the message.
Thank you.
Yeah, you won't. If that's the tail off of the fucking message at the end, nope, not happening. That's the structure. That's the plan. That's what they think they're going to be selling. Now, how much? Am I good? Okay. There are a couple of things where I'm like, well, some things just make you happy. Hi, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. I'm trying to do a reset. Remind myself to do that. Give a thumbs up. Support the show if you can. If you can't, that's fine. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks is what keeps us on the air, along with your super chats and your bits and your eyeballs in the algorithm. So, and the thumbs up help. They really, really do. We need to see Chip Sparks for Congress, Cat. I agree. So, some things just make me laugh. There will never be a day where Devin Nunes, no matter what the situation, right out of the gate, always looks like a guy who is showing up for a Tinder date and he accidentally farts right as she opens the door. That's the face. That's what that is. That's it. The new. Hello. So This is debunking the Davos agenda. The rich elites, who these assholes desperately want to be a part of, but they basically, this is sour grapes. They didn't invite us, so the band sucks anyway.
Here with reaction, former senior advisor to President Trump, Stephen.
Jesus Christ. And current vampire mafia lawyer.
Oh, crap.
Yikes. This looks like a headshot for a character actor who wants to be an extra in the Hulu Godfather series. And then this guy looks like he farted on him. Look at that. That's fucking amazing. That's not even a freeze frame. His face is just sitting like that.
Miller, along with
like, credit where credit is due. Nosferatu over there is actually moving his face muscles. That's it. This is a lock. Maybe.
Chairman of the House Intel Committee, Devin Nunes. Devin, your reaction to all of this? It's been one.
By the way, I love videos put up by people. Devin Nunes posted this, by the way, so he gets judged the most, where he is being asked to give context to something, and he does not include what the fuck he's giving context to. How much truthier can you get? If they can't see what you're talking about, who's to say you're lying?
One big con, one big lie, one big, hypocritical, elitist, endeavor that's going on there.
Yeah, endeavor. That's the word I would look for. Hypocritical, elitist endeavor. And this is a guy, who am I to question? Sean Hannity talks for a living. He's on television every night. He's at his fingertips. He's got access to the flurb of the...
And it's been pushed worldwide for 4 decades now.
Pushed worldwide for 4 decades now. Now, Devin, please push it worldwide for us.
Well, Sean, my first reaction is that Steve Miller and I were a little surprised that
we weren't invited, because the obvious is always shocking.
you didn't fly down in the Fox News jet, pick us up, and take us over there. We could have done
He's kind of, that's the inside joke. And he's not kidding.
live reporting. My second reaction is that
We should have.
they claim, the media is claiming, it would have been fun, but they're supposedly, the media is claiming, the right wing, they're saying this is now a conspiracy theory that there's these global elites. Yet here they are.
That's okay. There's a difference between groups that meet out in the open and have world economic forums and the like, whether you like what they're saying or not, and global elites, the way they talk about them. Because what they're talking about is eyes wide shut, hooded fucking sex parties by baby-eating fucking cabal people.
Or, as you pointed out, in Davos, Switzerland, at an event for global elites, claiming that they're not global elites, yet, I don't think the average American even knows this is going on.
How could they not know what was going on? They've been pushing it out to the world for 4 decades. Did you not listen to Sean? This is gonna be painful. This whole thing. My life.
And I didn't get my invitation, Sean, and not.
Jesus Christ! Like he's falling back to the gag. Oh my God, Melissa, thank you so much. It makes it worth it. I'll soldier through. Deanne, thank you as well. Devin smells like what? It's a little icon. Sean's projecting it. Devin smells like. I'm going with pig ass. Something, I don't know.
I don't think you got your invitation either.
Yes, because you're not elites. You're not at all. Not in that respect. Here's the thing. Most of the, quote, elites that are there are people who have either been judged by their fellow business people or their constituents in in countries where there's democracies choosing people to be the chosen representative, and therefore they are elite because it's a small group of people who are chosen by their people's people to go represent them in things. That kind of elite, not tallest with the bluest eyes and the straightest spine and the biggest Sieg Heil, which is apparently how they think it should be run.
I got no invitation, and I know Steve Miller didn't get an invitation. So they fly there in their private jet, then they lecture us about not eating meat and how we should change our lives. They want socialism, Stephen Miller, but socialism always ends the same way. Whatever name, whatever form, whatever manifestation. It ends with broken promises, that things that are unfulfilled. It ends in more poverty.
He's heartbroken. He never got his records back. The last time he fucked this socialist chick in college, and she never called him again because she was all she get. Occasionally she would call and laugh and hang up, and then he never got his records back, and she still got that pair of shorts that she borrowed and left in.
And it ends in a loss of freedom every single time. Am I right or wrong?
Well, it's fairly broad. I mean, the same thing could be said of Republican rule. I mean, you look at the economic result of Democratic presidencies versus Republican presidencies. That's how Republican presidencies end too.
No, you're exactly right. And you were also right when you said that these are globalist socialists. So they don't just want socialism, but they want a global group of elites.
Global group of elites, socialists trying to create a one world, new world, world order and stuff. And why weren't we invited?
People who gather at this conference to impose their socialist vision on all the rest of us in all of our countries.
Well, no, they're not proposing it. They're not imposing it. They're proposing it. That's what people do in an open forum. Now, there are some people who proposed at the World Economic Forum that would not work. Whether they were as loud as Al Gore, let's say, that's one thing. But there were a lot of people who made their proposal by not going. Voted with their feet, as it were. Neither of those visions, the person who went, fuck that, I'm not going to the WEF, thing because I don't agree with what the majority of those folks are talking about and I got better shit to do, or I think this is the perfect pulpit. Neither of those folks from across the spectrum are imposing anything. They are proposing.
Particularly in Western nations like the United States of America. And so when you see, with all of this ranting and raving about this fake climate emergency, as they're trying to do
this fake climate emergency,
what they did with COVID by creating a permanent climate emergency that provides the basis for...
Yeah, context is what he means. Yeah, this is one of the other, like low-res, bubbling just below the surface conspiratorial thought waves that's going on the Republican side, which is that somebody, Democrats, socialists, the elites, Marxists, whoever the fuck, got a sweet taste of lockdown during COVID, and they can't wait to do it again. They're just trying to find the right thing to tack it to so that you can't do anything, go anywhere, be anything, or anything like that. And they're gonna... It's a trap they're setting. So and that's why every report you see of the flu or RSV when that came out, or fucking monkeypox or anything, like they immediately go, this is the next lockdown. They're just trying to lock us down. This is another version of it. And what they've decided is that the easiest one is climate. There's going to be a climate lockdown. The government is going to say no one can drive anywhere today because of the sun and because of the sky. And so that you're going to be locked down, and you're going to have an electric car that's on some sort of grid, and they'll be able to turn your car off without your permission, that kind of shit. That's where they're going with this.
For never-ending regulation and control over every aspect of our lives. Of course, they will be exempt from all of it. They'll be exempt from the mandates, the restrictions, the rules that they write.
Yeah, according to him and these folks, Greta Thunberg will be flying around in a diesel jet that's run on adrenochrome and oil that was only processed in the mid-'70s, and eating giant steak burgers the whole way, and with John Kerry and Olaf Scholz, or maybe Olaf the Snowman from Let It Go. Yeah. That's who they're going to be. They'll be able to do this, like kind of, and understand. These guys think it should be them in that position. They believe in this sort of Ayn Randian Atlas Shrugged mountaintop idea of their own elites. Though their problem is not these people think they're elites. That's disgusting. It's that those people think they're elites. We're the elites, and hence the joke that they needed to run back and forth between each other.
Right? For the rest of us. And one more point, as you said, Sean, if they believed a word they were saying, they wouldn't be flying private jets. They wouldn't be cruising around in private yachts.
Well, sure they would, because they'd actually, smaller planes, smaller impact. They do it with offsets. They might not fly a giant corporation that might not have the offsets, or they don't believe in those offsets. And again, if you're buying carbon offsets for those things and you're net zero, there's nothing hypocritical about any of it. And all of those people are. Matter of fact, they pat themselves on the fucking back about it.
They wouldn't have 15 mansions, and they wouldn't be ignoring China, the #1 polluter on planet Earth.
I don't think they're ignoring them. They just don't expect them to do anything. There's a difference between ignoring China and just letting them get away with it, and literally making the case that, yeah, we know they're a problem. They're not going to do anything. That's why, if anything's going to change, we're going to have to step up.
Why does China
Yes, hello, Pot. Have you met Cattle?
get a pass?
They don't get a pass. They are unreliable, and they lie, and they're not going to actually do anything. They don't get a fucking pass. It's one of the reasons why we are reshoring factories out of there. It's one of the reasons why we're sanctioning them. It's one of the reasons why we're siding with Taiwan over them. It's one of the reasons why American companies, over time, and Xinjiang was the first step, but the environmental costs are a secondary aspect of it. And again, one of the only reasons why Tesla is there is because Tesla doesn't really sell cars. They sell carbon credits. The biggest profit maker for Tesla is creating an electric car that nobody will drive necessarily, and selling the carbon credits from that vehicle with no driver to anybody who wants to buy them, who produces a lot of carbon.
Paris Accords, why is China? Why is India? Why?
Because China won't and India can't. China won't, India can't. This is like a grown man saying, why does a guy in jail not help you move on the one hand? And why doesn't this toddler help you move? Why do I always have to get asked to help you move a fucking couch up a flight of stairs?
Why are they declared developing nations when they're the biggest polluters on the planet? Devin Nunes, last question.
Look. Yes, let's go. Yeah, Devin Nunes from the Stockton area, which the whole area smells like pollution. Tell us all. And I think he's moved down to Florida since.
Look, Sean, this is the thing. Back in 2007, when I was in Congress,
You were in Congress? Doing what?
remember the Democrats took over, and they started out on this climate hysteria back in those days. And we had a private meeting. It was off the record, or behind closed doors. They didn't want to do.
It was an off the record, behind closed doors, private meeting. Tell us what was said.
Publicly, because at that time they were embarrassed to talk about this global warming nonsense.
They were embarrassed to talk about it, and they're all lying about it. They all leaned across the table to a person, Nancy Pelosi, they all leaned across the table or standing near the fucking coffee going, I don't believe this bullshit at all, to Devin Nunes, because he had a trusting face.
And I asked some of the people there, well, look, you say the oceans are going to rise. How much? How many feet? When's it going to happen? And I remember the gentleman said, by 2020, it's possible that New York City, Florida could be underwater, and we would have to spend billions of dollars building up all of the properties, all of the docks, all the boat docks, et cetera, et cetera. Now, look, I'm pretty sure it's 2023. I'm actually down in Miami, Florida right now, and the ocean seems to be the same level it was last year when I was here.
Okay, I think he's going with hold on one second, let me find this. The inconvenient truth numbers, which, by the way, if you look at the IPCC, there are 7 possible tracks. Graph. Graph for, let's see. Look at the sea level rise one. Download. Open it up. All right. Okay, this will be. There's the sea level rise one in here. It's written, but they have. Here we go. So these are comparisons of recent estimates as far as like from several of these things. I want to see if they have the multiple version one. Rise of sea level, calving balance. Yeah, so part of this is them going through the. I'm just looking through their paper live here. So there's the estimated contributions to sea level over the last 100 years. Best estimate. The Greenland ice sheet is the best estimate. This is the most of it is coming from the melting of the Greenland ice sheet, and that has to do with hot water. Thermal expansion, 2 for 6. Glaciers, small ice caps. It's other ones. This is the high end. This is the middle, and this is the low end. Now or the best estimate. The low being here and the high being there. Total total observed. So these are the ones they actually physically track here. 10, 15, or like have
Not
people
bad.
go out there with a ruler and have been tracking it at this time. 82, 83, 86, 87, 90. There we go. So
Charge up soon. It's pretty
best
good.
estimate Greenland and it's total rise. Okay. Best estimate 40. These are millimeters. I want to find the right one for this. How might sea level change? These are various estimates of future sea level rise are noted in table 9.9. Such estimates are very difficult to compare because different time periods are chosen and because assumptions regarding future greenhouse gas concentration, changes in climate response times, etc., are either different or not clearly stated in general. Multiple studies. In each scenario. Projections total reflecting the high, low, and best estimate for each of the coming factors described below with assumptions. Okay.
1,600 people ended up joining.
A better one for you.
Not
Because
bad.
I know there's a big graph. I know which one he's referencing, why they thought that in particular at the time. Temperature.
I might have been able to.
Predictions.
I don't know if the battery will last another 30.
So
It might.
projections graph. Yeah, there you go. So so usually in these cases you average these things out. Where's this guy? He's 6 rounds. He's playing the climate.
What? 15 rounds. Starts in 20 minutes.
Okay. So a couple of things.
30-second hyper readout.
This is the
I might have to try
amount
that.
of carbon in the atmosphere from
Those things are
basically
hilarious.
mid-century to now.
All right.
And higher. We're at 400 now, 400 parts per million. 400 parts per million will give you about a 1.5 degree heat trap effect. To get a 2.5 heat trap effect, you need to double that because there's only so much heat carbon can capture. And so the idea is that's why it extrapolates out from now. It's risen to this obvious point. The next rise, that's why they talk end of the century or by 2050, because they're looking at India and China specifically spewing a lot of stuff into the air, going basically through the exact same industrial arc you see here, which is largely the Western world, and then China and India coming in, right about here and really starting to add to it, which makes it arc up even higher. Imagine this whole arc, attached to the top end of this because India comes online. that's the concern. Okay, so here's the surface warming thing. Now, this is 1850 to 2000. If you go back, the Earth has been way hotter multiple times. There's also been a lot more volatile storm systems, so much lightning you couldn't step outside. You know, there's all sorts of environmental effects. Unless you're a lizard, you're going to die during those times. And unless you're in a very specific slice of
Wow, went from 11 to 10 to 9 out of
the
nowhere.
environment protects you temporarily, or it overcompensates by being very, very cold. Sea ice melting. There you go. Now this is the
So
here you go. This is the historical. The 2.6, the 4.5, the 6.0, and the 8.5. These are the possibilities where the temperature could go to mid-century. Right now, we are currently, still in this bit of a rise, and the idea is that most of what we're doing will edge off of the top end of this. But if we don't do anything, and India doesn't do anything, and everybody just everything is coal-fired forever and ever, this is where it goes. And so this is the outlier. This is the low end is the outlier. More than likely it'll be somewhere in here. And this is the global sea rise, same kind of thing. Majority of it will probably be in this zone, which is still going to affect a lot of people, especially in the developing world. And then this is the low end, this is the high end. And over, at the beginning of this conversation, when you're having the conversation right here, and you don't really have a lot of divergent stuff, the only option you're seeing is this one. Now, this can still happen because, again, India is a major factor, Africa is a major factor, South America is a major factor. And once they come online, if they try to have an industrial revolution the way we did, that's exactly what will happen. And that was the concern at the time. But he thinks it's just, they were just being dicks. And
Devin Nunes,
yeah.
Thank you.
That's it. Yeah, that's the answer.
8%.
Miami's still underwater
Yeah, it's
right
not
now.
gonna-
Miami's got a problem. Okay, hold on.
It's not going to last for shit.
New York sea level has risen 9 inches since 1950, and it's costing over $4 billion. It's costing over $4 billion, and it's speeding up. Here's the stuff they're talking about. And by the way, New York spends a shit ton of money pumping water away from the subway tunnels all the time. Sea level around Battery, New York has risen by 9 inches since 1950. Its speed of rise has accelerated over the last 10 years, and now it's rising by an inch every 7 to 8 years. Scientists know this because the sea level is measured every 6 minutes using equipment like satellites, floating buoys off the coast, tidal gauges to accurately measure the local sea levels as it accelerates and changes. Why? That's the thing. Most flooding happens in the winter. Solutions aren't simple. What's the future of the rise? This is the next 14 years. The last 48 years. This is the next 14. That's the sea level. That's the Montauk sea level forecast. That's very close to what we were talking about. And now we're talking to 2050 here. The rest of the world is going to experience a rise like this in over time, like the 2100. But because New York is already fighting this, that's the issue. Flooding even when there's no rain. It's because of the seawall. Blah blah blah. Increased storm surge flooding. That's where you see the subways fill up with fucking water. There you go. So this isn't that weird. It happens all the time. I mean, like subway flooding. Remember, like the electricity goes out in certain parts of the city. The water floods into the subways because the pump stations don't work. But what do these guys give a fuck? They're just mad because they weren't invited to Davos to be guests amongst the elite. Now, one man who will never complain like that. One man. By the way, you're watching House Parks Mega Worldwide. Hi. Thank you. And by the way, thank you guys for the super chats. Bethany, thank you so much. And Melissa, again, thank you so much. That was so lovely. And Deanne, thank you as well. Lovely. Don't forget to subscribe. And thanks for resubscribing. Timebred did it. Disciple did it. And Shivan Lane, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And this Saturday, Nerd Halen, M Casino, and then we're in Huntington Beach. Next week? Shit. Wednesday? Fuck, when is it? I gotta look up my own shit. Anyways, because of the jam and because Summer and I went to Disneyland for 2 days, my brain has been scrambled about what day it is. It's crazy. What's the shirt you're rocking? Oh, it's a Van Halen cassettes. So I need, you know what I need? I need one of these where it has the cassettes of the David Lee Roth era on here and the CDs of the Sammy Hagar era on the back. I think that'd be good. And then a little like QR code that allows you to download without you the one hit from the Gary Sharon. Just for each time period. Okay, so one man who will never be upset that he wasn't invited to Davos, Mike Pillow. That's right. Mike Pillows, he's mad because CBS has been calling him out lately. Those fucking 60 Minutes people. And it's interesting to me, and I think interesting to you if you've been around for a couple of years. Never have we experienced someone complaining about, some lunatic complaining about not being taken seriously by 60 Minutes and being asked too many hard questions or not being asked on at all. So the Pillow has he's got something to say. This is, hey CBS, why don't you ask Dominion why we can't look inside the machines? Okay, first of all, allegorically speaking, he means, I hope, means look at the software. But I'm not sure of that anymore. I used to think that. Now I think he literally thinks there's like gremlins inside there or some shit. All right. This is Mike Pillow, very mad at CBS. And wait, hold on. Yes, okay. So this might be the first one. Mike Lindell reacts to CBS's latest hit piece after seeing it for the first time. Well, I like a fresh attack as well. Let me stop this. These are both very short. But he gets to sit there while basically, Steve Bannon's always fucking with Mike Pillow. Brandon House does the same shit. I do want to take credit for one thing. They made a little frame after I called them out on it. He has still not answered my request via email to be on my show, though. He can tell me no, but I find it very weak that he has not bothered to respond. I have an audience. I have something to say. Hey, Mike Pillow, why won't you let me metaphorically crack open your head and look inside? What are you afraid of? Huh? All right. So let's see how he reacts to CBS doing a special.
All right, I'm at 5%. I'm gonna have to
put up there. Okay.
put this on pause.
Oh, it's
get
terrible.
the charger before this
treating me like shit. Have you seen it?
tournament starts
no,
up.
But
Esme Murphy, CBS. I thought
We'll be back.
just a horrible interview.
Horrible. 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 So horrible.